You imagine that somewhere beyond the horizon, a ship is coming for you, a silent silhouette cutting through the mist, bringing rescue, relief, and answers. But the truth sits heavier than the waves beneath you. You are alone in an endless ocean, treading water under a sun that does not care if you live or drown. Time moves, the horizon does not, and still, like so many men today, you keep staring outward, praying for sails that will never appear. You scroll through your life like a man clutching driftwood. When debt drags you under, you look for someone to forgive it. When heartbreak shatters your chest, you wait for someone to stitch it. When your purpose fades, you beg the world to hand you a new one. You drown not in water, but in expectation, the quiet addiction to being saved. Musashi never had that luxury. No mentor rode in to guide him. No protector stepped between him and a blade. No cavalry galloped across the field to spare him from defeat. His life was carved through isolation, shaped by the raw honesty that no one was responsible for him. This was the wound that made him unbreakable. But you, like most, carry a softer wound, the belief that someone will fix things for you, that someone will show up, that life will bend, that circumstances will suddenly soften. This is the first lie adulthood must rip from your hands. When you see the world as it is, indifferent, unmoved, silent, you feel a cold shock. Then something strange happens inside you, a slow ignition, because the truth is not cruelty. It is awakening, and once you stop waiting for rescue, you stop drowning. The ocean is still vast, but now you remember, you can swim. Picture Musashi in his early duels, barefoot, dust settling on his shoulders. No armor, no lineage, nothing but a wooden blade and a resolve sharpened by solitude. He did not arrive with a crowd behind him. He did not wait for someone to teach him courage. Everything he carried into battle was forged by his own hands, in the quiet spaces where no one applauded and no one watched. Yet modern men outsource everything. Discipline is borrowed from podcasts. Meaning is scavenged from quotes. Emotional stability is delegated to the nearest distraction. The moment weight presses onto their shoulders, their first instinct is to ask, "Who will carry this for me?" They forget that the warrior's path begins where all permissions end. Ancient warriors did not wait for someone to authorize their strength. They hammered themselves in the unseen hours until their spirit could not be intimidated. Meanwhile, modern minds move like ghosts drifting, requesting guidance, requesting comfort, requesting a map through terrain they've never dared to walk. Self-reliance is armor, but it is armor earned. It grows through repetition, through failure, through standing alone when the world gives you every excuse to collapse. It is not glamorous. It is not dramatic. It is a quiet decision made every morning. I will not depend on the world to hold me up. If you cannot stand alone, you cannot stand at all. Musashi lived this truth until it became the marrow of his bones. When you stop outsourcing your strength, something shifts. Your breath slows, your hands steady. The noise of society drifts away like smoke, and a masculine calm settles into your chest. This is the fire that cannot be borrowed, the weight that cannot be shared, the armor that cannot be inherited. Self-reliance is the burden that makes you powerful. And once you accept that your fate rests solely on your own shoulders, you feel something unfamiliar, not fear, but freedom. There is a boy living behind your ribs. You feel him every time you hesitate. You hear him every time you want comfort more than clarity. He whispers in soft, trembling tones. Someone will help. Someone will understand. Someone will make this easier. This boy is not your ally. He is the quiet enemy within, the part of you still begging for rescue. Musashi understood this enemy better than any opponent he faced. Conquer the self before the world. He lived by this creed. The external battlefield is nothing compared to the internal one, where your doubts fight with disguises, and your fears pretend to be logic. The blade you must lift is not pointed outward, but inward. The modern mind is addicted to being saved, saved from boredom through endless stimulation, saved from responsibility by blaming circumstances, saved from pain by numbing every discomfort. A man spends more energy avoiding himself than he does facing his life, and yet he wonders why nothing changes. This inner weakling is dangerous because he carries your face. He can talk you out of every challenge. He can convince you that the world is unfair, that you were wronged, that your past excuses your present. He can make defeat feel justified. But a warrior refuses that softness. A warrior meets his own cowardice with silence, not pity. Blaming your parents, your partner, your history, or society may feel righteous, but it is a chain you clasp around your own wrists. Every time you point outward, you abandon your power inward. Musashi never had the luxury of excuses. His path forced him to face the single opponent capable of ending him, himself. When you finally confront the weak voice inside with stillness, it trembles. When you stop negotiating with it, it weakens. And when you deny it the fantasy of rescue, it dies. Only then does a man begin to live. Because strength is not the absence of weakness. It is the refusal to kneel before it. Every man eventually reaches a moment where the mirror becomes honest. No filters, no excuses, no distortion. Just the raw reflection of the life he has built, or failed to build. This is the moment where something inside you fractures or awakens, and no one else can cross this threshold for you. Pain becomes the final teacher when all others have left. Not the poetic kind, the kind that strips the illusions from your vision, the kind that throws you into the dirt and holds you there until you confront the truth. You have been waiting for someone else to live your life for you. Musashi stood in duels where he was outnumbered, outclassed, yet nothing moved him. His calm was not confidence, it was clarity. He had already accepted that he was alone, that no reinforcement was coming, that no hand would pull him away from blade or death. From this acceptance came his power. Contrast this with the modern man who hits rock bottom and immediately looks for a cushion. He numbs his wake-up call. He silences it with distractions. He tells himself he needs time or support or motivation. But rock bottom is not a curse. It is initiation. It's the earth cracking open to reveal the truth beneath your life. In that moment, you face two paths, collapse or rise. But understand this, either path is chosen in silence. There are no witnesses, no applause, no guidance, no encouragement. Just you, standing at the bottom of everything, with nothing but the truth in your grasp. Awakening begins the moment you stop asking reality to soften. The world will not bend for you. The pain will not shrink. The past will not rewrite itself. But you can change. And that transformation begins with one brutal acknowledgement. If I stay here, I die. If I move, I live. When you take your first step upward, trembling, uncertain, uncelebrated, you become something rare in this age of excuses. You become a man who rises without permission, a man who climbs without witnesses, a man who no longer needs saving because he has learned the secret. Salvation is a direction, not a gift. There comes a season in a man's life when he must take up the blade and cut away the dead weight of his illusions. Picture a tree unable to grow because its branches are swollen with rot. Until those dead limbs are severed, there can be no ascent. The same is true for the belief that someone will arrive to save you. This fantasy must die if you wish to rise. Dependency is a comfortable poison. It promises warmth but breeds stagnation. It invites disappointment, resentment, and bitterness, because it demands that others carry a burden that was always yours. Every time you rely on someone to fix you, guide you, validate you, or lift you, you trade strength for softness. Musas I lived by the principle, rely on nothing but your spirit and your blade. Not out of pride, but out of clarity. He understood that needing to be understood, praised, or saved was a trap that dulled the warrior's edge. Freedom comes not from being supported, but from being unbound. Letting go of the fantasy of rescue is not a clean process. It feels like grief because a part of you truly dies. The child who believed someone would always come. The boy who waited for life to ease. The soft, trembling part of you that hoped for a guardian. His death will sting, but it is a sacred pain. When that old self withers, a new form begins to rise from the ashes. A man who no longer begs life for comfort. A man who does not ask others to carry the weight meant for him. A man who understands that if he wants to climb, he must cut away whatever drags him downward. When the fantasy dies, the man is finally born, and in the quiet that follows, something unshakable settles into your spine. No one needs to save me, because I have taken up the blade myself. There is a moment when a man steps into uncertainty, with no hand to hold, no map to follow, no promise of safety. This is not misfortune, it is initiation. Walking alone is the forge in which a warrior is shaped. Each step you take without guidance becomes a declaration that you are building your life with your own breath. Musashi's way was never inherited. No one handed him a path. He carved it with every duel, every night in solitude, every choice to continue when retreat would have been easier. His footsteps were his map. His suffering was his compass. His resolve was his shelter. Modern men crave maps. They want detailed instructions, guarantees, and clear routes before they dare to move. But warriors do not wait for paths. They create roads with their own cuts through the wilderness. You become unshakable not by knowing where you're going, but by knowing who you are while walking. Responsibility carried without complaint becomes serenity. Not the soft serenity of comfort, but the steady, grounded presence of a man who owns his direction. When you stop demanding that others understand your journey, you stop bleeding energy. When you stop seeking approval, your feet grow steady. When you stop waiting for answers, you begin to hear your own. Life becomes unshakable the moment your strength is internal. Because anything external can be taken from you, relationships, status, money, support. But the strength you forge alone becomes the one thing the world cannot break. Imagine now the man who once stared across the ocean waiting for a ship. He no longer waits. He steps into the water. He dives beneath the waves. He swims with the quiet certainty of someone who understands the truth. Musashi lived and died by, the path is not found, it is carved. Musashi's legacy is not written in victory alone. It is written in the silence between his battles, the solitude, the wandering, the acceptance that he needed no rescuing, no praise, no witness. He walked forward because that was the only direction a man of resolve could go. His salvation came not from the world, but from the fire he carried within. This is the transformation waiting for every man who stops, begging for help and begins shaping himself. You shift from a seeker of saviors to a creator of destiny. The world does not get softer. You get sharper. Life does not become easier. You become more precise, more grounded, more unmovable in your purpose. The paradox is brutal, but liberating. Once you stop looking for someone to save you, you become unbreakable. The fears that held you dissolve. The hesitations that weakened you lose their grip. You stop waiting for the tide to carry you and begin learning how to command your own vessel. Picture the final image, a lone figure stepping through morning fog. No applause, no crowd, no mentor. Just a man with a blade at his side, breath steady, gaze forward. He is not fearless, he simply no longer requires rescue. He has crossed the distance from boy to warrior by understanding the truth that so many avoid. No one is coming. No one is responsible. No one can walk your path. And in accepting that, you finally become the kind of man who can walk it.